I will first kick us off with a proper welcome. We're glad you're here. This is a one-off, a spin-off really of our Money Counts series. We are talking student loan forgiveness programs for teachers tonight. And this is so important. Teachers are a really special group of people doing wonderful work across the country. We want to make sure that you understand the resources available to all of you to help make this transition from being student to a full-time practitioner as successful as possible, and anything that we can empower you with to help you really alleviate some of those debt obligations as it relates to student loans, the better, right? So my name is Sarah. I am a financial educator and assistant director, one of the assistant directors here at the Sokolov-Miller Family Financial and Life Skills Center. And part of what we do is we meet with students and spread the word about financial wellness and things that people can do to be financially healthy. And this is one of them. So that's me. I will turn it over to Allie. She can go ahead and introduce herself too.
Hi, everyone. I'm Allie. I'm excited to talk with you all about loan forgiveness today. Thanks for coming. At the center, I lead our one-on-one financial coaching program. So I talk with a lot of students about their financial questions. And I'll talk a little bit at the end of the webinar. I'll talk a little bit more rather about how you can get connected with me or another one of our financial coaches if you have questions about your loans or really any other financial topics as well.
Hi, everyone. My name is Sarah DeWolfe. I am Assistant Director of Outreach and Special Programs here. Thank you all for joining us. I do a little bit of a lot of things here, but most pertinent to this webinar are I meet students one-on-one and sometimes staff. And I would say that I'm sort of the resident expert in PSLF matters. So if you have questions, you can shoot me an email after this if we don't answer it. Also, is anybody else seeing this weird pattern shirt thing happening, or is it just on my view? Great.
That or I can't see.
That's good. My camera's doing weird things.
Yeah, you're too small of a box, so I don't know. But okay, I think we're good. Allie will talk more. Sorry if you just said this, Allie, I got distracted. Allie will talk more about our services at the end and explain how you all can continue to remain in touch with us. We're going to cover a lot of really important content today. Take notes or not. This is being recorded. We're going to have it uploaded to our YouTube page, hopefully by the end of the week. So check back Friday or early next week to see if it's been uploaded, if you want to revisit some of this content, because again, it's going to be a lot, but we're going to try and make it as manageable as possible and easy for you to understand how you can implement it within your own pursuit towards teaching. So let's get a crack at it. I should also mention, I guess, what we have coming up here with career services. We're here talking about loan forgiveness on behalf of the Financial and Life Skills Center, but there are other offices on campus that are trying to support the work that you do and your pursuit to teaching. So please know that in, I guess, a little less than a month, now, you're thinking about your financial health and how that relates to your career. Take a deeper look at what is available to you through career services and the offerings at the Career Education Career Day hosted. That will be hosted on April 15th from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. at the Penn Hotel and Conference Center, which is a little bit off of campus. It's past the hospital here at University Park. Maybe Sarah D would know, do they still run the bus out to the Penn Hotel? Didn't they used to do that? Okay.
They're not doing that anymore, unfortunately. Okay.
So if you do not have a vehicle, please find a friend who can help drive you out there so that you can attend that career day event, especially if you are, I love it. There's a heart. Yay, I don't know where that heart came from, but that was great. I love this too. Participate in as much support as you can while you can. So that's my quick plug for career services. Let's get into the content today. So I want to mention that this is a really great privilege for me to be able to speak with you all today. I am a former public school teacher. I have a background in secondary ed English. So if there are any of you out there, whoop, I taught middle school for 6 years, and then 1 year of junior high 8th grade here in Pennsylvania before coming into this space at Penn State. And teachers and teaching are really like near and dear to my heart. So this opportunity for me to speak with you about what you can access to help you get out of your student loan debt and get on to all of the good things awaiting you once you get that out of your life. Like it's a privilege. So here's what's available to you today, or at least in the future. We've got 4 big programs that you could potentially access depending on what type of loans and debt you have. For our purposes here today, we're going to focus just on teacher loan forgiveness and public service loan forgiveness. For one reason, these are the 2 programs that are going to be more immediately accessible to you in terms of time. Income-driven repayment is something that you access through a certain type of repayment plan with your federal student loans, and it generally is going to take 20 years or more to achieve. And so we're not trying to talk that long term. We want to, what can I get faster sooner? So we're not going to talk income driven repayment, and we're also not going to talk Perkins loan cancellation, because for most of you on the call, because you are current students, chances are you do not have a Perkins loan anyways that could be forgiven. If you are an instructor or someone who has been out of college for a little while, you may have a Perkins loan. They were issued up until 2017. And so if you do and you want to know more about that, continue to get back in touch with us. We can tell you more about how Perkins loan forgiveness works. But for our purposes here today, we're going to focus only on teacher loan forgiveness and public service loan forgiveness. If you have questions, we're going to try and take them at the end. So kind of be thinking about what you want to get clarified. You can plug it into the Q&A if you want. Otherwise, hold that to the end. We're about to get started, so really buckle up. We've got a lot of information coming your way. First up, teacher loan forgiveness. So I'm going to talk on teacher loan forgiveness, and then Allie is going to tell us more about how public service loan forgiveness works. And then we'll think about which might be best for you and how to strategize these programs to make it as most effective as possible. So teacher loan forgiveness is a type of forgiveness program offered by the Department of Ed, the Federal Department of Ed, on federal student loans. So to be sure, everything that Allie, Sarah D, and I talk about today is related to federal student loans. If you have some private loans or all private loans, what we talk about is not going to be available on your private loans. So please just keep that in mind. All of this is going to be about your federal student loans that were issued to you via a FAFSA application in most cases. So with that out of the way, let's talk teacher loan forgiveness. It will be a type of forgiveness program that offers up to $17,500 in forgiveness, though there's more information with that. So a little asterisk, keep that in mind. We'll come back to it. And it is available assuming you meet 5 different criteria: that you're a highly qualified teacher, that you teach for 5 years consecutive, that you are teaching in a low-income school, and that you have qualifying loans, and you get authorization from your principal or school district to vouch for you and say, yes, Sarah completed 5 years of teaching here and therefore would be eligible for the teacher loan forgiveness program. Okay, so that's that 3,000-foot view. When we dive in a little bit deeper, what exactly does this mean? We talk about like who is a highly qualified teacher that could receive teacher loan forgiveness. If you're going through your program here at Penn State and you get your degree and you take your praxis test and you pass your praxis and you have no issues with your certification, you don't have any issues with the state, you're going to be considered a highly qualified teacher. It is basically you've got the degree, you've taken your state tests, and there's been no adverse action taken against you by the state. And that's true pretty much for all states. Look up, if you move around, you don't stay in PA, definitely look up what the rules are for highly qualified teacher status in your state. But at a federal level, this is what is expected in the program. To be sure, public school teachers who have these criteria met are considered highly qualified. This could also be true for school teachers who are in a private nonprofit school as well. So there's a little bit of flexibility with where you teach, but more information on that. You must teach 5 years consecutively to receive teacher loan forgiveness. So this isn't, I teach for a year and then I stop teaching and I go back for another year and I stop. 5 years, boom, 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 right after you graduate or whenever you first enter teaching. You must complete 5 consecutive years in a qualifying school, a low-income Title I school, which if you're not sure whether or not your school qualifies or the school that you are applying to in terms of work, like, hey, I want to teach, I want to be a 4th grade teacher at this school. I wonder if working here would help me qualify for teacher loan forgiveness. The way to know for sure is by going to the teacher cancellation low income directory. Sarah D, I know, is working on a link for that. Hopefully we'll get it all figured out. But there is a way for you to look up the school, look up the district, and to make sure that they qualify, right? Now, one thing to note, if you start teaching at a school, let's say you start teaching at an elementary school that has a low income status, that is Title I, right? Let's say after the first year, you keep working and that school suddenly is taken out of low income status. You can continue working at that school and remain eligible for teacher loan forgiveness for those 5 years, as long as the school, when you first started those 5 years, was considered a low income school at the start. So that is what matters. It has to be a low income school at the start if you stay at that school, or you can hop around between different low income schools or schools that are in this directory. That is fine as well, but it must be consecutive years, 5 consecutive years, okay? And a really important piece to note that, I mean, this is teacher loan forgiveness. You need to be teaching at a school. You must be in a classroom performing teacher duties, instructing students in order to qualify. More forgiveness, like money-wise, more forgiveness is going to be issued to secondary math and science teachers, as well as special education teachers. So those 3 categories, those 3 different kinds of licensures are going to be eligible for up to $17,500 in forgiveness. But everybody else, so I saw in the chat, we've got some elementary folks here. We've got some English as a second language, EL teachers here. If you are not teaching math, science, or special ed, you're only going to receive up to $5,000 in forgiveness, which is a huge difference. And it's important for you to note when we start comparing different forgiveness programs so you can pick which is going to be most beneficial to you, which is going to get you the greatest amount of forgiveness. So please keep that in mind. There is a difference depending on what you teach. And understandably, we need more secondary math and science teachers. We need more special education teachers. So there's a greater benefit for students who pursue this type of teacher licensing and do this work in a low-income school. So I hope that that is clear to everyone. In terms of your federal loan requirements, while you are working, while you're teaching and pursuing loan forgiveness, please keep in mind that only direct, unsubsidized, and subsidized loans, as well as unsub and sub Stafford loans and direct consolidation loans, qualify. If at any point you decide to consolidate your federal student loans, if some of those loans were Grad Plus loans or Parent Plus loans or a defaulted loan or a Perkins loan, whatever portion of that consolidated loan that holds the Grad Plus or Parent Plus, it's not going to qualify for forgiveness. So it gets a little in the weeds there, but keep in mind that you're only going to get forgiveness on these direct unsub and sub Stafford and direct loans. I hope that's clear. This is where it starts to get in most cases, we're talking to a lot of current Penn State College of Ed students. If you have been in school within the last 5 years, you have a direct loan. Like if you got a loan from FAFSA, it is a direct loan and it will qualify for teacher loan forgiveness. If you are a parent or a graduate student and you've taken out a PLUS loan for yourself or your child, those loans do not qualify, unfortunately, for teacher loan forgiveness. It also does not matter what repayment plan or what you're paying each month in a monthly bill for your student loans. It's not going to impact whether or not you qualify for loan forgiveness. It just matters that you have a direct or Stafford loan or a direct consolidated loan. Okay. All right. So that might have been a lot of information. If you have questions, now is the time to start, brainstorming them and thinking about what do you want to ask to follow up on, because I'm about to transition away from teacher loan forgiveness. We covered those criteria: being highly qualified, teaching for 5 consecutive years, getting more in forgiveness if you are a STEM or SPED teacher, right? Making sure that you have the right kind of loans that qualify, and that you're teaching in the right type of school that qualifies, those low-income Title I schools. The last thing that you'll need to do in order to get forgiveness, because it's not just going to magically happen, you will have to fill out paperwork. You're going to need to fill out this teacher loan forgiveness application at the end of your 5 years of teaching, assuming that you met all this criteria that I just went over. So the form looks like this, just what you see on the screen. It's more than 2 pages long, but the first 2 pages are all you need to deal with. The rest is informational. Keep in mind, you're going to see that it is an expired form, because that's the Department of Ed for you right now. A lot of their forms are expired. So don't panic. Just make sure you're looking at the one that is dated for September 30th, 2023, at least for now. You're going to complete that form. Do not put your social security number on it yet. Make sure you get signature and authorization from your school principal or your district's HR manager to verify that you have worked at the school for 5 years, or at the various Title I low-income schools for those consecutive 5 years. And then, make sure you check off if you were a SPED teacher, or if you were a math teacher or a science teacher, or whatever you qualified as based on your employment and your certification and what you taught. And then send this completed form with your social security number on it after you've received it back from your principal or from your HR at the district. Send it to your loan servicer. That is who's going to need to receive this paperwork, verify that it all checks out to help you move forward with that $5,000 or $17,500 in forgiveness on your qualifying loans. Okay. It's a pretty straightforward process. You just got to make sure that you qualify for all of those 5 years, that you do what is expected, right? And by year 5, at the very end, you fill out this form, send it into your loan servicer. And if all things go accordingly, like, you will have a portion of your loans, or perhaps all of them, forgiven, depending on what your current loan balance is at the time. So that's teacher loan forgiveness in a nutshell. If you have questions about it, drop them in the chat, but I'm going to transfer now over to Allie, who's going to talk PSLF.
Okay, thanks, Sarah. So pivoting here to public service loan forgiveness, or PSLF, you'll hear us say this in both ways. They mean the same thing, right? PSLF is a loan forgiveness program specifically designed to help folks who work in the public sector manage their federal student loans. So let's crack open this book here and get to the basics of this program. So public service loan forgiveness, unlike teacher loan forgiveness, provides total and complete forgiveness on federal student loans once these 5 requirements are met. So the teacher loan forgiveness takes care of either $5,000 or $17,500. PSLF can take care of the remainder of your balance after you do these things. So what are the things, right? First of all, you need to make 120 qualifying payments. So this is 1 payment on your loans each month for 10 years. Those payments will need to be made on qualifying loans, which are direct loans. The payments will need to be made under a qualifying repayment plan, and this is all while working for a qualifying employer. So once you've made your 10 years of payments that meet these qualifications, you can apply to have whatever is left over on your loan balance at that time forgiven. And it's important to note that you must still be employed in the public sector when you apply for this forgiveness. So we're going to unpack each of these requirements here in the next few slides, starting with eligible loans. So what are eligible loans for PSLF? Direct loans are the only loans that are going to be eligible. So with that, you have your direct unsubsidized loans, direct subsidized loans, graduate plus loans, direct consolidated loans, and also direct parent plus loans are eligible. Parent plus loans are a little bit tricky because they are eligible loans, but the repayment plan options for parent plus loans make pursuing PSLF a little tricky, a little complicated. We will revisit parent plus loans when we talk about qualifying payment plans because it'll make a little bit more sense then. FFEL and Perkins loans are ineligible loans for PSLF. However, these loans can be consolidated and turned into direct consolidation loans, which would make them eligible. There are some considerations when it comes to consolidating loans with losing your payment count associated with the loans that you consolidate. Without getting too in the weeds here, we would encourage you to do some extra research or reach out to us at the center if you have FFEL loans or Perkins loans and you're hoping to pursue PSLF. Most current students are going to have direct loans. And to find out what types of loans that you have, you can log into your account at studentaid.gov and go to your loan details. And really what you'll want to see there is the word direct listed in the title of each of your loans. So you need to make your payments on your direct loans under a qualifying repayment plan. Qualifying plans for PSLF are the ones that you see on the screen here. So the 10-year standard plan, the SAVE plan, the pay as you earn plan, the income-based repayment or IBR, and income contingent repayment or ICR are all eligible qualifying repayment plans for public service loan forgiveness. Every plan that you see on the screen here, except for the 10-year standard plan, is an income-driven repayment plan. This means that they will look at your income and your family size to determine what your required monthly payment on your loans are. Your payment under an income-driven plan won't be based on your loan amount, but your income. The standard plan is different in that your required monthly payment will be such that you'll pay off your loans in 10 years. So the standard plan is just equal monthly payments each and every month for 10 years. So while this is technically a qualifying payment plan for PSLF, if you follow the standard plan for 10 years, you won't have any loan balance to forgive after you've made those 120 monthly payments or like your 10 years of payments, which is what you need to do to receive forgiveness under PSLF. So really you'll want to be on one of these other income-driven payment plans if you are hoping to pursue public service loan forgiveness. The goal really should be to pay as little as possible through one of these plans on a monthly basis so that you are able to have the most forgiven at the end of that 10-year repayment period. For most folks, the SAVE plan is likely to give you the lowest monthly payment. But to really help figure out what the lowest monthly payment will be for you in your specific situation, you can use Federal Student Aid's Loan Simulator tool. And if you use this, they'll have you put in your information and you can indicate your interest in PSLF, and they'll show you the best eligible repayment options for you and your specific situation. So with this information on qualifying plans, let's super quickly revisit and talk about Parent Plus loans. Remember that direct Parent Plus loans are direct loans, so they're eligible for PSLF, but Parent Plus loans themselves only have 3 repayment options. Those are the standard plan, the graduated plan, and the extended plan. So out of those, only the standard plan is an eligible payment plan for public service loan forgiveness. But we do know that we don't want to make all of our payments under the standard plan, or there will be nothing left to forgive after those 10 years of payments, right? So Parent Plus loans can be consolidated, which makes them eligible for one income-driven payment plan, which is the ICR, or income contingent plan. Again, here there are some things to consider before consolidating your loan. So we would really encourage you, if you have Parent Plus loans, to do some additional research or reach out to us if you're hoping to pursue PSLF. And I guess I should just clarify here that if you are a student and your parents took Parent Plus loans to help you pay for your education, those are their loans. Those are not your loans. So in this scenario, those loans would not be eligible for forgiveness connected with your public service work. If your parents are working in public service, it would potentially be connected with their public service work. So hopefully that makes sense. If you're a current student and your education was paid for with Parent Plus loans, those technically are not your loans. Those are your parents' loans. Okay, so what is qualifying employment? It doesn't really matter what your job title is, but what really matters is who employs you. Generally, folks that work in the public sector will qualify for public service loan forgiveness. So nonprofits, government organizations, this also includes things like public education, military service, public health, etc. Public school teachers, of course, do qualify for public service loan forgiveness. For your periods of employment to count, you have to meet your employer's definition of full-time or work at least 30 hours a week, whichever is greater. And then basically what happens here and how this all works is that you need to certify with your employer that you worked for them during a certain period of time, have them fill out a form confirming that you worked for them during that period of time, submit that form to the Public Service Loan Forgiveness loan servicer. And then with that information, your loan servicer will look back during that period of employment that you've certified and see if you made qualifying payments during that time and how many. Those payments, if they meet these qualifications, will then count towards your 120 payments. The PSLF help tool can help you navigate this process of filling in the PSLF form, getting your employment certified, and sending your form off to the appropriate loan servicer. This tool can also help you search and see if your employer is a qualifying employer and kind of just generally learn about the process and the actions that you need to take to be eligible for PSLF. You can find this tool on studentaid.gov's website, and Sarah also just dropped it in the chat. Okay, so let's talk about these payments. To get your payments to count towards your 120 payments that are required, you have to pay the total amount that's required of you from your payment plan, and your payment must also be received within 15 days of the due date. You can actually make multiple partial payments to reach this goal as long as those are received within 15 days of the due date. It's important to note that payments that are made when they're not required are not qualifying payments. So for example, if you are a current student and you're in an in-school deferment and during the time that you were in school, you made some payments on your federal loans, those payments will not count towards your 120 because you weren't required to make them. You can also make lump sum payments up to a year in advance. So for example, if your required monthly payment is $100, you could pay $1,200 in a lump sum in advance, and that will be kind of divided out and you'll receive credit for those payments. Okay, so this is our PSLF form. You can fill this form in manually and submit it to your HR, or you can use the PSLF help tool to help guide you and fill this out. Again, the form that we are currently using is expired. So if you are going through this process right now and looking for this form, you're going to want to use the one that expired in November of 2023. So generally, the steps here to fill out this form are going to be, first of all, fill in section 1 with your personal information. Like Sarah mentioned, you do want to leave your social security number blank for now. You'll fill that in later. And then you want to send the form to your employer's HR or another authorized official who can speak to your employment with the company that you worked for, whether that's a school or another public service organization. Your employer will fill in section 4 regarding your employment. And you want to make sure that when they fill this out, they are checking the box that says full-time and indicating that you worked at least 30 hours a week on average. Then, when you receive this form back from your employer, you'll want to ink, sign, and date it where needed. Also, go ahead and fill in your social security number. From there, once all those things have been done, you can send the form off to MOHELA. MOHELA is the only federal student loan servicer that is working with public service loan forgiveness. If you already have them as your servicer, you can upload these documents. If you don't have them, you'll have to mail or fax them in. And we typically suggest just mailing them in if you want to keep track of where your envelopes are. And if your forms have arrived to MOHELA, you can get some tracking information on the envelope when you send it in. So once you send this form in, if you have to mail it because MOHELA is not your current loan servicer, your loans will eventually transfer to them and they will become your loan servicer. So if you're pursuing PSLF, MOHELA will be the loan servicer that you have to work with to do that. Okay, I'll pass it back over to Sarah here to talk about how do we navigate both of these programs? What does that look like?
Yeah, so just to reiterate, teacher loan forgiveness and PSLF are two types of federal forgiveness programs that you all would, in most cases, be eligible for. I don't want to speak in full certainty because I don't know what you all will do or what you're currently doing. But if you are teaching, particularly at a public school, but in some other capacities as well, like you're going to be eligible for these programs. And it's up to you to decide which is going to be the best program to pursue first, because the rule is you could receive forgiveness under each program, but you can't get credit for the same period of teaching service. So we talked about with teacher loan forgiveness. It's a 5-year program. With public service loan forgiveness, it's a 10-year program, according to what Allie had just shared. That if you do 5 years with teacher loan forgiveness, that 5 years can't count towards public service loan forgiveness. So you'd have to do an additional 10 years for public service loan forgiveness to get, potentially more forgiveness on your loans if you have a remaining balance. So it becomes really important to have a strategy to know like, oh, hey, okay, there are these programs, which is going to be right for me based on how much debt I have and, what my career plans are. Like, let's talk about some of these questions you should ask yourself. First up, I cannot find my clicker. Hold, please. Sorry. There we go. First up, wait, just kidding. Nope. I have a lot of screens on. Sorry, guys. Okay. First up is how much money do I owe? So log into studentaid.gov, check what your current loan balance is. If it is greater than 5,000 or 17,500, right? Those two different types of forgiveness that you can get depending on what you're teaching with teacher loan forgiveness, it may be better to pursue public service loan forgiveness instead, because PSLF is going to forgive an entire remaining balance regardless of how much it is, versus teacher loan forgiveness, which has limitations. So you want to be strategic. How much debt do you have in federal student loans? That's going to help you make a decision on which program to pursue first. Secondly, what type of loans do you have? If we have some staff, faculty, and even some parents in the call who might have their own loans, or if you are a current Penn State student who plans on going to graduate school to get a master's degree. Like if you have a Parent Plus loan, if you have a Grad Plus loan, only PSLF will forgive those loans. So TLF, teacher loan forgiveness, will not apply to those plus loans. That should help you make a decision on which program to pursue first, depending on what type of loans you have. Moreover, what are your career plans? If, I did 6 years in public school consecutively, that would have been perfect for teacher loan forgiveness. But if you decide that teaching in a classroom for 5 years straight is not completely what you want to have happen with your career trajectory, you may then consider pursuing public service loan forgiveness, where you might exit from the classroom. Like me, I left public school teaching, but now I'm here at Penn State. Penn State still qualifies for public service loan forgiveness because it's a public institution. So if you're job hopping and you leave the classroom and enter into another public servancy job, you could still pursue public service loan forgiveness. You got to know what your career plans are. That's going to help you make a choice, because you got to think 5 or 10 years into the future, these programs are still going to be in place that you're working on. What will you be doing? What do you want to do? And then finally, what are your financial goals? What are your financial needs? Like Allie mentioned, with public service loan forgiveness, you are going to be making 10 years or 120 payments on your loans in a hopefully income-driven plan. So it's the lowest payment possible, but you still will have to make that payment. Depending on your loan balance, if you are seeking or desire to have no loan payment during your time of teaching while you're trying to get forgiveness, the teacher loan forgiveness program offers what they call, quote unquote, teacher loan forgiveness forbearance, which essentially means that if you are pursuing TLF, you can fill out paperwork the minute you start teaching, that very first year, that very first month. You're going to fill out some paperwork, which I believe Sarah just posted in the chat. Thank you, Sarah. To request forbearance, meaning your loan payment will not be required for the 5 years that you are teaching in that low income school, right? Assuming you meet all the criteria for TLF, you can have your loans in forbearance and not make any payments during those 5 years. Depending on your loan balance, it might mean that you still have everything forgiven at the end of those 5 years. Interest will accrue, though. You may have more to forgive. You know what I mean? Like if you have, let's say, you've got $17,000 right now in student loans, you put your loans into forbearance, but the interest continues to accrue. Even if you get that $17,500 forgiven, you're probably going to have more money still left over from the interest that you'll be on the hook for. But hey, it's better than having all of it to pay, right? So be strategic. What does your financial situation look like? Which program are you going to pursue? And would forbearance be a good option for you? All things considered, not just considered in isolation, but all these questions considered at one time. Okay. What does this look like per person? What is going to be the right strategy will vary, but just to give you an example of two made up teachers here, Allie and Josh, a different Allie to be clear. But just to kind of see like, hey, I kind of look like the Allie in this situation, or I'm more like the Josh, right? What are you teaching? How long have you been teaching? And what does your current student loan balance look like? Allie has over $17,000 in, she has, over $17,000 in federal student loans right now. That teacher loan forgiveness program is going to be great for her because she can get most of her loan balance forgiven, having worked 6 years teaching full-time as a science teacher in a low-income school. Josh is at a public school. It's not necessarily low income, and he's got $60,000 in student loan debt. He's not going to get all that canceled. He's not going to get all that forgiven through TLF. So public service loan forgiveness is a better option for him. All right. Hopefully that's clear. Again, we can't say necessarily which would be best for you without knowing all of the details, right? And Allie will talk more about why knowing the details matter. But just at the surface level, I want you to think about what does your profile look like and which of these two programs might be best for you. Because again, you can't pursue them at the same time.
Okay, so as we wrap up here, we really just want to let you know that we are here to help if you have additional questions on either of these programs or kind of want to work through, like, for your personal situation, what might make the most sense, or really any other topics that you might want to chat about regarding your financial wellness. Current students can reach us by scheduling a one-on-one appointment through Starfish. You can schedule with me or Sarah D through Starfish, and any alumni, staff, or faculty that might be on the webinar today can email us at finlit@psu.edu to schedule a loan forgiveness meeting specifically. We do have other services as well, and you can access all of our other services through our website, which is financialliteracy.psu.edu, or you can scan the QR code on the screen here and it will take you there as well. We will have a recording of today's webinar posted on our YouTube page in the next few days. Our YouTube page is linked in the chat. Thanks, Sarah. If you want to revisit this, and it might be helpful to kind of hear these things again, this was a lot of information. Feel free to check that out on YouTube. Oops. Going back, getting click happy here. So we hope that this webinar was helpful. We're really glad that you attended today. We hope you learned something about managing your loans and how you might go about this in the future.